Hi traders, welcome to today's market overview video. Today we're going to take a look at the NASDAQ, crude oil, the Dow Jones, and the dollar index. So let's start with the NASDAQ. The first most important thing that we can take a look at here on the NASDAQ is the double bottom that was formed. The first low was put in on the 13th of October and then the second low was put in on the 4th of November. Now if we draw and measure from the low of the double bottom up until the neckline, which is our resistance zone over here, it gives us targets of about $12,800 on the NASDAQ. Price actually did attempt to break through it, but we saw quite a lot of selling pressure come in, and the whole reason we got the 7.2% rally in a single day was because of the CPI release that came in better than expected. Markets rallied very hard with expectations that the Federal Reserve was going to slow down on interest rates. Now, the next Federal Reserve interest rate decision is coming in the second week of December, and it kind of looks like markets are waiting for that decision before they make any more decisions going forward, which is probably a good call. But in the meantime, if we do see prices react in a way that breaks above this small high that we made here, $12,100, it's very likely that we could see price rally back up to 12,813. If it sits sideways for a while and continues to consolidate, it just means the market is waiting for the Fed decision in the second week of December. Moving on to crude oil. Crude oil has actually a very interesting chart because we've got a parabolic channel up on here. We've covered the parabolic curve a couple times on our YouTube channel, so if you're interested in learning how to draw them, go over to our YouTube channel, our TikTok page, our Instagram. You'll find a lot of useful information on the parabolic curves over there. The reason the parabolic curves are actually so powerful in their reliability is the fact that not a lot of traders and technical analysts use it. So if you can master how to draw them and what to look for, it could give you a really strong edge in the markets. It also works for long-term trades, which is a great aspect to have. So with that being said, yesterday's trading action saw a very powerful dragonfly doji. And the reason why this doji is actually so strong is because we saw the crude oil price drop over 6% during the session, but it was bid right back up and closed around the open. The reason it's more significant than a dragonfly doji in another area on the chart is because it is a support over here at $77, which was the closest to the yearly low. If we go back to the 1st of January, it's not quite the yearly low because the yearly lows are around $74, and we printed about a $75 low on this candle, $75.32. It's very close though, so it's most likely one of the reasons we saw quite a lot of buy pressure coming. It also bounced off the lower side of our parabolic channel. So what we could see moving forward here in the next couple of days on the crude oil chart is we may see a couple candles print sideways, maybe for 3 or 4 days. It doesn't have to confirm with the green candle immediately, especially when we use the daily chart. But we may see a couple candles move sideways, and then if we do see that green candle that closes, I would say around $83 or maybe $82.50, that could be a very strong confirmation that this dragonfly doji is being confirmed and that it's bouncing off of this support channel and the parabolic curve on the low side. And that would probably give us targets of around $92 per barrel, somewhere around the highs of the parabolic channel over here. Now, another example of the parabolic channels I've drawn here is on the Dow Jones. With the Dow Jones, the first 3 connection points are here. I've marked them all off, and what we simply do then is we draw a vertical line at the start of that connection. So once we've got our first parabolic curve, we draw a vertical line and we find the first major high of the top side of this kind of trend that we've seen. Now you can move it around a little bit to kind of pick out which points on the market seeing there's most support and resistance. You can see if I take this one and I move it slightly a little bit higher to come straight to the top of that peak, we can see here moving to the right how many times the market actually moves into the top of that channel and then moves back down. And then simply what we do is we just measure the distance of this channel, paste it higher, and then draw our next parabolic channel to see if price does move through, which we can see at this point. You can see here it actually finds resistance right off of it and then moves back down, finds support of this, the first primary channel, finds support, rallies off of it, and now we're actually trading at the top of the third channel. So as long as when you're drawing these channels you keep the measurements in mind, and then you always connect the first point to the vertical line that we've drawn. If you don't do that, these are going to be very inaccurate. And then probably the most important thing that's happening in the markets right now is the dollar. The dollar has had a very strong rally since the beginning of the year. In actual fact, we've seen probably a 21% rally in the dollar, and there's been a very strong uptrend where every single time the dollar has come down and tested that trend, it's bounced right off of it. Only recently have we seen the dollar drop below that trend line. That's been the first time this whole year, and we can see that the trend seems to be rolling over here. Now, this is all because of the CPI release that came in last week. If the Federal Reserve looks at the CPI release as just a bump or some sort of positive news in overall negative sentiment, and they continue on their rate path, that's going to give some extra strength to the dollar. But the reason we've seen the sell-off is because most investors and market participants are expecting the Federal Reserve now to slow down at least somewhat on rate decisions because of what the inflation came in a couple weeks ago. But that does it for our market overview video. If you have any questions or any requests, let us know in the comments below.